Episode 10.
We made it.
Whoever thought we'd get to double digits, guys?
Certainly not me. If I was a betting man, I would have said 1.
Yeah, all the naysayers. We do 1 and just quit.
Yeah. It's like, well, that wasn't as fun.
People probably want us to quit, but we're not going to quit anytime soon.
All our listener probably would like us just to quit.
Please stop. Stop whatever it is you're doing. So we got everybody on.
Yeah.
We got, there you go, the backbone.
We got El Capitan.
Mr. Zach. How's your weekend going, Zach?
Oh, it's going. I saw Annihilation yesterday. Not a sub movie, but it was good.
Could it have used a sub?
Oh, what movie doesn't? What movie couldn't use a sub?
Was there a body of water to be seen, or is it?
Yeah, there's water.
Okay, yeah. So sub could have just surfaced for a second and then went back down.
Yeah.
Like, it's a submarine.
And in that movie, it would have been crazy. So.
And wasn't the movie already crazy? I haven't seen it yet.
Yes, very crazy, but very good.
So not so crazy to have a submarine just surface for a second.
Yeah, could be worth it. Alex, how about you? How's your weekend going?
Fantastic. It's flown by, so that kind of sucks. But other than that, it's been great. Thanks for asking.
No problem. I ask because I care.
You don't care.
Yeah, you caught me. And Brom, how about yours?
Doing pretty good. Thanks for asking, Kyle. If you can't tell, I've got my delicious new Blue Yeti microphone hooked up and rolling.
Oh, man, product plug right there.
Not a sponsor.
That'd be nice.
That would
Not
be
a sponsor,
really nice.
but they could be. It's going pretty good. This is my birthday weekend. I haven't done anything over the top. Those days are behind me, but it's going good. Going too fast, as Alex alluded to.
Gosh.
But it's the way of life.
You really let loose last night. You read a book until like 10 p.m. and then fell asleep.
No, I played a game of Civ 6 with our backbone. Zach
Oh,
Watson.
yeah.
Well, I mean, you should have known it was a joke when I said you read a book.
Yeah,
That's true. I don't read. Never learned that.
it's overrated. I don't know why I bash reading so much,
Yeah.
but I've done it multiple times on the podcast.
You even ended an episode. I think you just ended with fuck reading, and then there was the end of the smash cut, end of the episode.
That sounds about like me.
Yep.
What began as an innocent conversation among friends would soon spiral out of control and later be referred to by future generations as the eighth wonder of the modern world. Mac East Second Floor Studios takes you on the journey of your lifetime as your captains, Alex the Thoughtful, Jamie the Brain, Kyle El Capitan, and Zach the Backbone present Submersion. All right.
Man,
We should probably...
get into this guy.
Yeah. Alex, what movie did we all watch this weekend?
This week, we watched Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, a 1961 science fiction disaster film. Pretty good stuff.
Or a disaster of a film. Am I right?
No spoilers.
Yeah, we don't get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah. So when this movie freaking opens up, it's insane. Like, you guys remember the scene where the sub shoots out? It looks like it's 90 degrees out of the water. And it just crashes down. It's like, dude, everybody in there is like severely concussed right
And
now.
you're not even talking about the fact that it opens with a Frankie Avalon song that sounds like it should be in some like beach party movie or something like that.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. It's real strange. And then you get this like sub emerge amongst the glaciers to the shock and awe of about 500 newspapers that spin into frame, all saying the same thing. It's like, oh my god,
Yeah.
it's a submarine! Exclamation point!
Yeah, I didn't even understand what was going on with the newspapers, but this guy, the
Admiral Nelson, yeah,
he invented this new special submarine that had a glass nose.
glass-tipped submarine that drives the ladies wild.
Yes.
And it's called the Seaview. It's an invention of Harriman Nelson. And it's undergoing like final tests, basically, up in the Arctic, to kind of see if it can do everything that Nelson claims it can do in terms of scientific discovery and stuff like that.
Because, right, that's the main reason they wanted this, like, window, so they could see things they've never seen before down in the bottom of the ocean.
Second window we've seen. in a submarine. It probably 2 of like 3 we'll see, because we'll probably never watch another one of these like submarine adventure future films,
Right.
where they just love putting windows on a submarine. They're like, imagine a submarine, but now it's got windows, and everyone in the studios were like, "Oh my God, yes! Here's money."
There's one link between both those movies that we've watched. Peter Lorre.
Yeah, Peter Lorre.
Yep.
He's back and
He only
crushing
does
it.
he only does sub movies where they got windows.
Yeah.
I was wondering who that was. That guy reminds me of the landlord from Always Sunny. Charlie's
Dude, that's
landlord,
exactly
Huang,
who I
or
thought
whatever his
of.
name is.
Ben, literally.
I'm like, there's no way this is the
I
same
love-
guy.
Yeah.
I
Right?
had to look it up because I'm like, it looks just like him, except 40 years ago.
Peter Lorre, yeah, Peter Lorre would have been like 100 years old.
Doing It's
if he
Always
hadn't-
Sunny.
If he hadn't died in the 60s.
Oh my gosh.
So the government is all like, "This is useless garbage. We hate you, Admiral Nelson." And he's like, "Fuck you. Like, I'm going to do all this crazy stuff. And every time I do something crazy, it's going to turn out right."
Yep.
And so they have some people on board. They kind of show, they show the sub and they go inside and they're doing all kinds of sub stuff. They're like, "Turn that knob, do this thing, blah, blah, blah." And they're like, "Oh, we better go see our guests." And they head on down to the window room and like, "Look at these beautiful windows." And there is another admiral who kind of seems to oversee the government's like testing of the sub. A congressman who is just there to be like a Debbie Downer garbage person. They're like, "Fuck you, congressman." Like, "Hey, have some respect." The United States congressman there.
That's traditional in all sub movies. They always hate all the politicians.
I think that's a tradition in most movies.
Yeah.
Just hate all the politicians. And then they have a psychiatrist on board as well, who's there. Not really. It's kind of a little bit of a coincidence. She's there to study stress on sailors, and they've decided to bring her on board this one because they're going to be diving for like 72 days or something like that for their tests up in the Arctic. So it's like, okay, this is a good time for me to be able to study it as well.
Yep. And then they take them on a tour. We see probably the weirdest thing I've ever seen. They have an aquarium on the sub, and this is where you see Peter Lorre, and he's walking a shark.
Yeah, Bessie.
Yeah.
It's like, "Come on, Bessie."
It's super weird.
But in like a German accent. And then he's basically he's a marine biologist again. And 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, he was also a marine biologist. So he seems to have a particular, I don't know how he ended up getting pigeonholed into those roles. Like, they're like, "Oh, we need to hire an actor to be a marine biologist on the submarine." They're like, Peter Lorre, obviously.
Duh.
Yeah. Who else could do this?
Nobody.
I think walking the sharks turned out to be probably the most scientifically correct thing. In the
Pretty
whole film.
easily, although I think they were accidentally accurate on some of the stuff about the Van Allen radiation belt. But we'll get to that later when it catches fire. Anyways, moving on from that. So they're doing a really long tour. It goes on forever. We see this aquarium.
Oh my God.
We go into the weapons room, and they're like, "Check out all these torpedoes. Don't worry about it." Like, "Wait, why do you have like missiles and torpedoes on this thing?" And they're like, whatever. All right. And then they also have the breakout star of this, the mini sub.
Right.
Yeah.
God, what a great.
If only it was used to better effect.
Yeah, we'll talk about how that goes later.
Wow. Yeah. I wish the mini sub actually did kind of rescue something, but it kind of, well, whatever. We'll get to it.
Screwed everything up. But so anyway, while they're on the tour, all of a sudden they start getting smacked with something, and the camera zooms out, and there's like all these ice blocks falling, and
Now, this is something that I didn't totally understand because they seem to dive, and they're starting their expedition or whatever.
yeah,
But then when they surface, so the ice is falling, first of all.
and then they dive to like 1,000 feet. That's
to, like,
what they
avoid
say.
it. Yeah, we're going to be avoiding this falling ice by diving to 1,000 feet. Like, wait, what? It's still falling.
Right.
It's not like it's not gonna reach 1,000
But
feet.
then they just surface.
And beyond that, ice falling. Like, did they ever explain why the ice was sinking?
No, I have no idea.
Because I don't know if you know, but
It floats.
ice floats.
Yes.
You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that ice floats. So that was one where I was like, is there metal tubing in it? Or are they going to say something about how, like,
Right.
it got so hot it changed phase and became denser? Like, something, at least say something bullshitty. Otherwise, you're sitting there being like, why would I even watch the rest of this movie?
That's immediately what I thought. Yeah.
The only other time I've ever seen that happen was in the G.I. Joe movie. Where they also are underwater in a submarine or in a underwater base or something.
Okay.
And the ice starts to break apart and it's falling on there. And I remember laughing audibly at that as well. Like, what? Your underwater sea lab is being destroyed by falling ice underwater. Like, come on, you couldn't write anything better.
Like maybe anything. A rock or something.
Something, anything. So that was already funny.
Or they have the windows. They could have seen like the sky above was like glowing hot red or something, and like what is going on up there? And
they didn't have the budget for that.
Yeah, that would have made a lot more sense. But so they surface, and you're like, holy shit, the sky's on fire.
Basically hell on earth. And they're like, but this is where I got a little confused because they get on the radio and they're having a lot of trouble getting in contact, but they finally get in contact with Washington, and Washington's like, we've been trying to get in contact with you for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks. So I didn't really understand the time jump. Frame. I guess they did the tour and then it just jumped 3 weeks, but they didn't really seem to even acknowledge the fact that it jumped 3 weeks. It just started a scene where ice was falling and you had to somehow figure that out. I don't know. I was baffled by that for a second. I was like, wait, 3 weeks? Where'd the time go?
Yeah. And they so they get up there and I guess like the planet's heating up. It's at, I think at this point, 135 degrees, which is hella hot.
Yeah, that's like Dubai or something like that in the summertime.
But then they didn't really say how it caught on fire, but they said maybe it was heavy meteor activity that caught this radiation belt on fire.
Oh yeah, there was meteorites and then it caught it on fire.
Okay.
Now, just to delve into the science a little bit, this makes no sense. I am not a radiation or a nuclear scientist or anything like that, but a radiation belt will not catch on fire because it's a belt of charged like ions. Like so that there's no oxygen out there also. So why would I catch on fire, or how is it catching on fire? All of that is just ridiculous. And of course, but back then I think they used it opportunistically. The Van Allen radiation belt had just been discovered about a year and a half before this movie was made. So I don't think they knew a whole bunch about it. But they also didn't seem like they were trying all that hard.
No.
They didn't care.
No. Yeah. And at this point, they see a guy who, I don't even know how they explain how he got there, but he's just floating on one of the like ice things. And they go and they rescue him. And I guess he's been out there for 2 days. But he also had his dog with him.
Yep.
I'm like, where the hell did this guy come from?
Yeah, they're like, oh, it's hell on earth. And there's this guy over there. Wait, what?
Yeah.
So they're sitting there, and he's another funny scene was the main guy, Admiral Nelson, was like on the phone with Washington, and they were like, "There's an emergency meeting of the UN. Like, we really want you to be there." And he's like, "Send a plane for me." And it's like, wait, what? First of all, the sky's on fire, so not sure that's gonna work out. And second of all, you're in the Arctic. Where the fucking plane? Where's a plane gonna pick you up?
Right. No idea.
Bizarre. So he's like, but he seems really into himself, a little bit arrogant.
Yes.
He's basically like, I'm the only one who can solve this. It's crazy that they're having something. So we're going full steam ahead to New York because I got to save these motherfuckers.
Yeah, and apparently he's a scientist. But
he's a crazy scientist.
Yeah, he's also an admiral. And then
he's considered like the best scientist in the world, along with some Austrian dude.
Which is funny.
Yeah.
You don't think of like the greatest scientist in the world, like, I'm going to be an admiral and have my own sub, do this type of stuff.
Yeah, I guess it's the age of NASA and stuff like that. So they're sending stuff into space.
Yep.
It's Air Force, Navy, all that stuff.
And so they cut to New York where they're like talking about how the heck they're going to solve this. And there's basically the Admiral Nelson. He's talking about how they need to shoot a nuclear bomb.
Oh, so you jumped ahead to when they already get to New York.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but there's a little bit of we got to talk about a little bit of the tension that starts to happen here, because he's like, "Go to New York. We have to go to New York. We have to go to New York." And they start steaming ahead. And Captain Lee, who is the captain on board, although it's a little hazy, they both have their dick out. So like, we don't know who the captain is, but you know, what are you supposed to do? They have basically two people who are in charge of the submarine for unknown reasons.
It's true.
So Captain Lee is the captain, but doesn't really give the orders or anything like that.
Yeah, it's kind of strange.
It's real strange. But he gets real angry because he wants to look for more survivors of that expedition. That's what he thinks is important for them to do. Yeah. And Admiral Nelson's like, "F no, fuck no, we're heading to New York." And so, and even as they're heading to it, him and Peter Lorre, marine biologist / physicist, ? Are in their room, as well as the other admiral who doesn't appear anymore after that. Like, also probably not a scientist, seemingly, but they're all in a room, like sweating and staying up and just coffee cup after coffee cup, trying to figure out what's going on. And Admiral Nelson's like, I got it. Like, given how the temperature is changing, I know what's happening and I know how to fix it. So they get to New York and they head into the UN, and there's this Austrian dude, and he's like, let's just wait.
Yeah, it'll burn itself out once
Wait
it gets
and
to
see.
173 degrees.
Which science is just may as well have been like, because of science. That's it.
That's
like,
all it
there's
should have
nothing.
said.
Like, there doesn't even make any sense of why it would burn out at 172 or anything like that.
No.
So I guess exact temperature is when it will burn out. All right.
Yeah. But so then Nelson's like, no, we need to just launch a nuclear missile into this belt.
And we'll blow it out of the sky.
Yeah.
Now, what is your first impression of that, Kyle?
I thought, no, I mean, what? There's nothing that's going to even happen when you do that. Won't it just pass through?
What the nuclear missile
Yeah.
won't even do anything. Good point. It may not do anything. Question number one. Number two, I was like, wait, is the Van Allen radiation belt is it meaningless? Like, can you just blow it away from the Earth without a problem happening? Like, it'd be like, let's blow the ozone away. Like, it's on fire. We better blow it away. And it's like, well, aren't we going to have some problems after we don't have an ozone layer? But I was wrong.
Jamie, the missile's going to explode, and it's going to explode outward.
Yes, yeah. Good point.
So that's all it's gonna need right there.
But it's going to destroy the Van Allen radiation belt. Now, what's funny is I was looking this up. I was trying to make sure that I wasn't going to say something stupid and be like, ridiculous, get rid of the Van Allen radiation belt. And it turned out I was dumb. Apparently, there is a coalition of scientists for real on the Earth who are like, we should just get rid of the Van Allen radiation belt, like today.
Really?
Yeah, because it causes problems with electronics when you're launching stuff into space, like satellites and stuff. So you have to time your things so you don't want to go through the radiation belt where it's most dense and all kinds of stuff. So they're just like, they have this idea of like putting a tether out there because it's all charged ions. It's like they'll put a tether out and then they'll just like knock away, the ions will become uncharged and you won't have your radiation belt anymore.
Is there any benefit to this thing?
Yeah. I mean, the benefit would be that you don't have to spend as much money sending satellites into space.
No, I'm talking about like it being there.
So these scientists contend, and actually most scientists contend, no, there is no actual benefit. It is it's a byproduct of the spinning of the Earth, and it,
Okay.
But that it's been getting bigger over time, anyways. The idea would be that it would go away and eventually come back, but you'd basically be like resetting it, kind of.
Okay.
So apparently they were accidentally correct on that, and that you could blow it away. But other scientists are basically like slowly roll. Maybe we shouldn't mess with this giant radiation belt and do major changes to the Earth and its surrounding atmosphere.
Yeah.
Which I would tend to agree with that.
Right.
Maybe not.
Who knows what's going to happen?
To save a little money on some satellites, maybe spend the extra buck.
But so to do this, they need to get to a very specific area and
for reasons unknown.
Right. No idea why. And they need to launch this missile on August 29th.
Yeah, exactly.
At like 4 p.m. or something like that. And
the UN's like, we decided no, we're going to wait and see. And Peter Lorre and Admiral Nelson are just basically like, you're not my dad. You're not my dad. Like, my dad is the president of the United States. He didn't say anything. And then they run to their submarine.
Yeah.
Like, run away. It's like,
they do.
whoa.
They literally run away, and he's like, dive. We got to get out of here. And the captain's like, there's people on top deck. He's like, give him 15 seconds.
Yeah, they can swim. We all know they can swim like fish. It's like, what? So he's really kind of like a Captain Nemo, Professor Aronnax type character from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. He's like, I'm right, and everyone else can fuck off. It's like, oh, okay. I'm supposed to root for you, I guess. So they start moving south. They want to go through the Panama Canal, but they are like, we need the permission of the president. And then they were saying they're going around the Horn of South America would take too long or something like that. So I don't even know what the plan is. I don't know where they end up. Like, even
they never really tell you.
No, they cruise along, and there's a lot of concerns that he's going crazy because there's like threats, and a fire breaks out in his cabin, and all kinds of stuff. And so they think he may be doing it himself, like he's going a little crazy.
Yep.
But anyways, they get down to they're still kind of going along with it, even though there's like kind of some mutiny talk going on.
Yep.
And they get down and they point on the map and they're like, we're here. And they're basically like south of Brazil. I'm like, where are you going? I thought you said going around the Horn of South America would take too long. But apparently not. And they're like, this is how we're going to get in contact with the president because we haven't been able to.
Yeah,
we're
so
going to
wiretap a phone line.
We're going to tap in a la the Russians now. We're going to tap into the phone line that's underneath in the ocean. And so they send out some divers, which include Captain Lee and the science guy.
This scene
scientist.
felt like it took a freaking hour, man.
Forever.
My God.
The entire movie felt like it went forever and ever and ever. And they dive, and he goes out, and he's like tapping the thing. They find the cable, they tap into it, and then he gets attacked by a giant squid.
Yep.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah. It's just like, and it's a terrible looking squid. So it's basically like a big like model of a squid like comes into frame and like grabs him. It's like, whoa, okay. That looks terrible.
Yeah.
But he's like struggling with a squid for 10 minutes.
I mean,
I don't even know.
It took way too long.
It took forever, but he gets rescued by the scientist, or the scientist who was on the expedition, and he's already kind of gotten on the bad side of everyone because he's a little bit of he's like a God freak a little bit. Like he's like, we shouldn't be messing with this. This is God's way. Like if it's Armageddon, it's Armageddon, and if it's the end of the earth, it's the end of the earth. Like that's it. Like we shouldn't be messing with it.
I just don't understand why that guy just didn't stay in New York. Like
they left too quickly.
Yeah, he was just a citizen, just a regular guy.
They're all fugitives from the law, so they had to get on that submarine as fast as they could. And so morale continues to go down because they're like, well, the captain's basically like, well, fuck, because they can only get in contact with London, and London's like, we have no contact, like the world is ending basically.
Yeah, we can't get a hold of Washington.
No, we don't even know if there is a Washington. It's
so
like, okay,
let's just keep on going.
We may as well keep on going.
And then this is where you find out that they have the worst sonar guy on the planet because all of a sudden they're just in the middle of a minefield.
Well, yeah, so they have an issue with their engine, and the engine kind of goes a little kooky, so they had to go into like a different mode, which meant they were relying only on so like, we're only relying on the sonar, like, yeah, like every other submarine, like come on. And as they went along, they end up in this minefield, and they're like, okay, this is fine, totally fine, don't worry about it, just this minefield, who cares, like let's send out the mini sub. And the captain's like, shouldn't we just back the fuck up, fix the engine, and then we can move through the minefield. Like, no, mini sub, and then we'll keep going. And they send out the mini sub, and the mini sub goes out and literally gets blown to smithereens immediately. I was like, no mini sub! Oh, no! The only mini sub we've had. Oh, no. Ooh.
Yeah, it just like immediately cut the mine. The mine floated up, hit another mine, blew up.
Them up.
And then that threw the sub up in a different direction, hit a mine, and then that exploded. I was like, what the hell just happened?
What the whoa. There was like a kid on board that they all cared about who got blown to smithereens. Like, okay. So he's like, fine, I guess we'll stop and we'll fix the engine and then we'll keep going. Wait, if that was still within the time frame, then why was it okay just to send that kid out and to blown up?
Right.
It was crazy. Like I was like, now even I would be like, you're going a little crazy. Let the captain take over or whatever. So he keeps on. Now the captain's like pretty into the idea of, stopping it if it comes to it. Like, if it comes to it and he sees him seeming to be more and more crazy, he's gonna
try to stop the missile launch.
But they keep on going. What's the next thing? Is this the next time next time we see they're pretty close to where they need to be, right?
Yeah, and that's where it made no sense because you're like, what the hell? They were just in South America.
Oh no, they see a ghost boat, right?
Oh yeah, they do.
So first thing is there's a fire in his cabin, and he's like, someone tried to kill me, but they have to vent they put out the fire, but they have to vent the sub. So they go up to the surface and they're venting the sub, and they see this ship, and they're like, oh shit, a ship. It's like, okay, go over to the ship and find out if there's any survivors. And they go on, and no survivors because it's like 170 degrees or something outside. Everyone's dead. But they find newspapers that say that they're fugitives from even like the United States. There are subs hunting them to stop them. Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, we're fugitives. Like, this isn't right. Admiral Nelson's like, well, if anyone wants to leave, that's fine. You can go to that boat. You can try to get back to New York and see your families. But like, we're going to continue on. And this is what really puts the captain over the edge. He's like, you allowed a mutiny to happen and desertion to like legally happen on a boat.
You encourage desertion.
You encourage desertion, which is like against the law in the Navy. He's like, that is not right. And so he starts to look into mutiny pretty heavily at that point. Mm-hmm. And then right as a bunch of people leave and he's real angry, but they continue on their way. And just as they reach the point where they, are supposed to be launching this thing, randomly he like goes into the sick bay and sees Frankie Avalon's minor character and is like, what are you doing here? He's like, nerves. And he like just smacks him in the face. He's like, oh shit. Basically what like General Patton lost his job for in World War II. So like it's something that's somewhat frowned upon, authority figures smacking around like lower. It was
a total bitch slap.
Yeah.
Whack.
And so that is what officially is like, okay, we're going to do a mutiny. So they're there and they're ready to like get into the launch position. Mm-hmm. And he comes in and he arrests the admiral. Right at that moment, a submarine comes along that's hunting them, so they have to do some maneuvers. So they go back up to the deck, and they start to dive. And they're diving deep because guess where they are, where they have to launch this thing?
They're in the
Marianas Trench.
Yeah,
the deepest part of the ocean. So like
they get down to over 2,500 feet. Yeah. That's what they say when
they're going. They're going way below crush depth, and oh boy, do we see it, because they keep on going, and then the sub that's following them implodes/explodes from the pressure. So yeah, that was pretty much the best we've had from a crush depth, like for real.
Yeah.
Like,
but then immediately after this, they're like, okay, that other sub's gone. Wham! Huge octopus.
Yeah, just giant octopus.
Like,
okay, now we're getting a little excessive with these extra things. Like, you could just go up to the surface. So now they have an octopus they have to try to get off, and they also do like a little electrical thing on this octopus.
Yeah,
right?
they shock it like they do in 20,000 Leagues.
They're like, oh, we got to do something. We got to rip off 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea even more. We already have Peter Lorre over here, but we got to shock this octopus too.
He's probably in like the meetings. He's like, wait, I've seen something like this in a film before.
Shut your mouth, Peter Lorre. They shock the octopus. Octopus falls off, I guess. Oh, and we're right near the end.
Here we go. 2 minutes.
Because just at this moment, also, they start to have some engine difficulties or reactor difficulties. And so Captain Lee goes down there and realizes that the psychiatrist has actually been the one sabotaging everything.
Yes.
So she's been sabotaging everything and kind of making it look like it could be the case that the admiral is crazy.
Yep.
When in reality, she's the nutball. So he's like, oh shit, I got to launch this thing. And also at that moment, Alvarez, the scientist, he's like, I got a grenade. Like, I'm going to blow this ship up so we don't launch the missile. It's like, whoa, we really got like piling on. It's like hats on top of hats.
Yeah. Well,
like,
also during this, like the sub gets rocked by something and it throws the psychiatrist into the shark tank.
Oh, yeah.
And she gets eaten.
Which was awesome.
Good old Bessie.
I loved that scene.
I was glad that they used it again. Like we didn't just see that one time and it was done.
And so he's up there gonna like use a grenade, and so the admiral's kind of trying to talk him down. And while this is happening, Captain Lee's like, "I got it. I know what to do." And so he takes like a little timer, gets into a scuba suit, goes out, and goes to the missile tube, and puts a timer on there, and manually launches the missile and disperses the radiation belt.
And then the world is saved.
Everything is saved. Alvarez probably gets kicked in the balls and then falls into a shark tank as well, probably. I don't remember. So. And that's that. Yeah, Admiral Nelson is, while also a crazy person, a hero as well. Besides being totally insane.
Yeah.
Is a hero, in fact.
And that's the movie in a nutshell right there.
Oh, that it was, I'm going to be honest with you, not good. I did not like watching this film.
Yeah.
Well, I was surprised because what do you have? Don't you have the facts on like Rotten Tomatoes scores and stuff like that?
Yeah. So if you look at the ratings for this movie, IMDb has it at a 6.1 out of 10,
which is good. Not great, but pretty good.
Well, Rotten Tomatoes critics score has it at a 75%.
Is that like 3 out of 4 though, critics?
No, there was a decent amount.
Okay.
Users 38%.
That seems more accurate.
Yeah.
I was actually surprised because I looked in like Leonard Maltin, who has like a review book. He was like, adventurous tale of blah blah blah, like 3 out of 4 stars. I was like, wait, what? Like I would know. I'm not giving it 3 out of 4 stars.
Something that also blew my mind is because like this, eventually spurred a television show.
Yeah, longest running television show of this guy, of Irwin Allen, who's the guy who made it, that he even had, and he had a few pretty famous television shows.
Because this thing made, like back then in, what was it, 61, Alex?
Yeah.
This thing, budget was $1.5 million, and it ended up grossing $7 million at the box office. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it was a wild success, even though critics were mixed on it by all accounts. But I'm even surprised critics were mixed on it. It seems totally ridiculous.
It does.
And
so
not even
that
fun to like even it makes me think that 20,000 Leagues, like what they did with that was pretty impressive, because that was much better than this film, and it was a very, very similar film.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Zach.
Yeah.
What do you got for your rating on this?
A rating?
Yeah.
It's got to be a solid 3.
It's a foot long.
I'd say a 3. It got so ridiculous with the squid and the octopus and the shark, and just, I mean, I was like, but I was watching it at like double the speed, so it didn't take me too long.
Oh, that's a better way to watch this movie.
Probably, yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
All right. Brom, how about you? What'd you think about this?
I'm actually giving it a 3 as well. I need to get some more Golden Age films under my belt, but I hope they're all a lot better than this.
I gotta say, they have been. They have been. So far, Run Silent, Run Deep, and 20,000 Leagues
We're really good.
are much better than this one for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to go back and watch
Yeah,
those
the only thing I'll
now.
say is this not just to be. This isn't quite Golden Age. Let's be accurate about it.
How many years outside of the Golden Age are we here? Is the Golden Age the 50s?
I think the 50s was still around Golden Age. Yeah, it was kind of like it died a little bit with like Cary Grant and those guys, and they died at the end of the 50s. So it's just
Gotcha.
outside.
Yeah, well,
I would say.
there's like a 20-minute introduction basically of the submarine where they walked everybody through, and I'm like, are you just showing off the set that you made or what?
Yeah. You could also tell when they were doing
It was-
that you were clearly not on a submarine.
Yeah, some of the rooms were huge, like the room that had the boy that, I used to bounce you on my knee back in the day.
Yeah.
I'm like, where are we at? And what is going on?
Yeah.
That's when we also get introduced to the mini sub.
The mini sub.
Yeah. And that one guy's just wiping it down with the towel. So you're just like, is this guy's job is just stand there with the towel all day? Just
Dude, when you have a mini sub, you take care of it
Oh yeah.
until you send it to its
I guess
inevitable
so.
death.
Oh man, I wish
guess
that
so.
mini sub should have come off in a spin-off. Just call it mini sub.
I mean, that would be cool.
Much better.
yep. So 3 for
All
me.
right. Alex, how about you?
I'm gonna give it like a 2.
Wow.
It was.
That's almost down to Agent Red.
Yeah, it was so slow, and I think one of the reasons I didn't like Agent Red a lot is because it didn't feel like he was on a submarine, and this did not feel like he was on a submarine either, which you guys just alluded to. And it just got a little crazy. I think whoever made this movie just kept thinking that they could just keep piling more and more stuff on it, and that would be okay.
Hats on hats.
It's just too much. It was too much. And they saved the day at the end, but we don't really know if it was too little too late, because the one ship that they already saw, everybody was dead. They know that there was other ships coming after them to attack them, but they couldn't even reach anyone at Washington or the United States either. So
That's true.
it might have been just all for nothing. Who knows?
Because when the planet heats up to
Yeah,
like
that-
175 degrees, not a whole lot of normal life can continue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we hear about all the time now with climate science and everything that when the ice caps melt, that's pretty much it.
And you would have thought they'd be melting pretty
Yeah.
fast. Part
At
way
those
through the movie.
temperatures.
Yeah, that like a 0.5 degrees Celsius is going to be disastrous. Well, what is a 100 degrees Fahrenheit
Yeah.
going to
It is gonna be interesting. It's also funny that like they go to this ship that just left Hawaii and they find the newspaper that's like they're like fugitives from the law. It's like, wait, it's like Armageddon out there. They're still printing newspapers. Are people just running around screaming at this point?
Right.
It's like everything keeps on going normal. They're like, yeah, well, it's 170 now. That's
Are the
fine.
newspapers not just
Yeah.
combusting?
But yeah, it's almost. It'd be nice to see the sequel to this, where they return victorious back home to find that everyone has died. So,
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what the show is.
yeah, maybe. So I am also gonna give this a 3 because it sucked. I was very disappointed in this. I actually expected it to be okay, considering what I knew about it, and then I watched. I was like, what is this shit? What am I watching? Why is this happening? And nothing made sense. It was also really funny because like you have the whole concept of an experimental submarine that can unlock the secrets of the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you decide to have it where an outer space radiation belt catches on fire. It's like, wait, what the fuck is a submarine supposed to do with this? It doesn't have to be under the ocean. Like, what's going on?
Right.
So it's such a weird like idea of this is what our voyage to the bottom of the sea will be. Is we're voyaging to the bottom of the sea in order to launch a missile to outer space. Like, it's confusing. I don't understand why it wasn't like an Atlantis type storyline. Like they
Right.
voyage and they find an underwater like civilization who's about to launch war on the
Yes.
world above, and you're like, we got to stop this. Already a better movie. I just made the movie better.
There's a sequel.
Yeah, there we go.
When I was watching it, I just kept wanting it to end. I was like, my God, how long does this freaking movie?
Why
I kept
are you
pausing
doing this
it.
to me?
It's like
Just stop.
this isn't how I want to spend my time. So
Yeah,
I'm giving
we
this
waste we waste our time watching submarine films, and even this one was like, wait, what am I doing with my life? What is this? At least Agent Red was like, okay, these were made by a bunch of porno directors and crazy people, like somewhat amusing to watch. It's like, this is not even amusing to watch. Why am I watching this?
right. I'm 2.5 for me. I think it sucked.
Yeah, it's bad, right?
Yeah.
I'm not crazy. It was bad, right?
I was wondering that when I was watching it. I'm like, man, and maybe I'm odd, but I am not enjoying
No,
this.
I didn't enjoy it at all. It
Like,
was weird.
I kept finding ways. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna pause it and like go put laundry in or something because this is boring the shit out of me right now.
It made me wonder how Irwin Allen was at this time would end up being pretty big. Like he made The Lost World, he made Lost in Space, he made and the TV show and the movie, or not the movie, the TV show Lost in Space, The Swarm, Towering Inferno. Like he was a pretty big director for a little while, or a producer and director. And
The Lost World is in like Jurassic Park.
well, no, it's
No.
an adaptation
Oh.
of Jules Verne.
Okay.
But also an adaptation of Jules Verne.
My bad.
So yeah, this does seem like he maybe wanted to make 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, but didn't have the rights to it. So he made
Probably.
this instead. But I don't know. It like made me wonder, like, if I watch these other Irwin Allen films, am I going to be like, wait, all of these films are bad? Like he made The Fly. He made these ones that you hear about, like, as being kind of classic films. They may have been later made into more successful, even more classic films, like The Fly and like Lost in Space with Matt LeBlanc adaptation, all that stuff. Obviously, a classic film.
I don't know. I'm glad we're all on the same page about this thing because
Yeah.
I was getting very frustrated watching it.
Yeah. That being said, we do recommend you watch it.
You ever feel like you just have too much time on your hands?
Yeah. You bored or something? Watch this.
Let us know what you think.
Let us know what you think at this production company name at gmail.com.
Yep.
Whatever that is.
Perfect.
Should we keep on going? I feel like we sometimes jump into the stuff. Like maybe we should just keep on going with the movie and move on to trivia, so everyone's like fresh in their mind.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, we're gonna do it. We'll do that. All right. So the model of the submarine and the interior sets cost the producer Irwin Allen $400,000. Pretty penny in 1961. You said, or two?
61.
Yeah. So he was pretty keen on keeping them. And so since it ended up being a major hit, he was able to make an ABC show out of it and use all of the sets and stuff from this movie in doing that. And it actually ended up being his longest running show, even though he was even the producer of Lost in Space, which is a much more famous show. Got a 1990s reimagining, I guess, adaptation. But yeah, this one actually ran for 4 seasons. Lost in Space, despite its bigger impact in culture, only lasted for 3 seasons. So
Wow.
this was his most successful thing he did. Although the sea view is made believable, it's number 2. Although it's made believable, there is a large glass nose in the submarine, which is not possible. So I actually had to make up a whole bunch of stuff for what it was made of. I don't think they didn't mention in the film, right? What it was made of and stuff.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
you said it
no.
was glass.
So there's a bunch of things in the notes being like, oh, it's not glass. It's like Orlite or something like that. It's like, okay. I think that was probably explained in the TV series or something.
Maybe.
But yeah, they kind of noted in all the stuff exactly what it was made of. And it's supposed to be this theoretical material that was much more, still clear, but much more powerful. But even today, they couldn't make a glass nose submarine, particularly one that would go way beyond crush depth.
Yeah, go to 2,500 feet down in the bottom of the Marianas Trench.
Yeah. And then, okay, so for number 3, he was also the producer of 1958's The Fly. And so reusing stuff, a lot of the sub equipment and sound effects were recycled from that.
Really?
Yeah. So if we watch The Fly, which I don't think there's a submarine in there, although they should make one where someone accidentally makes themselves into a half submarine, half human by trying to transport themselves using a new machine, but accidentally he has a submarine in there as well. He comes out half submarine.
I'd watch that movie.
Yeah. Okay, and then during this filming, Barbara, Eden, and Michael and Sarah, they played Kathy, who is the fiance of Captain Lee, and then Michael and Sarah, who played Miguel. I don't even know who that was.
No idea.
No idea.
He was the guy that they found out in the ice at the beginning of the
No,
movie.
I thought it was Alvarez. Was his name Miguel Alvarez?
Yeah.
Is that right? Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
They were married at the time that the film was made. So she's obviously best known as Jeannie in I Dream of Jeannie. So she was the Jeannie in that show. And he became an iconic figure in the Star Trek franchise. So he played Klingon cruiser Captain Kang in the original series and in Deep Space Nine. Oh, and Star Trek Voyager. So he was in 3 of the series as the same character. But then they divorced because love is dead. And then, all right. So this is where you get a little choosing about recasting.
Ooh, here we go.
So this is one of many of Irwin Allen's sci-fi adventure films, as I've kind of mentioned a few of the other ones. Considering this, who might you want as a good replacement for? I was going to say Captain Lee, but really anyone in it. Captain Lee, Admiral Nelson. If something strikes you as a good idea, you just shout it out.
All right.
Okay. So he was also the producer of the Poseidon Adventure. So what about Gene Hackman, who's the star of the Poseidon Adventure?
Ooh. I'd put Gene Hackman as Admiral Nelson.
You want him as Admiral Nelson?
Yes.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. Although at the time he would have been a young spry buck.
Oh yeah.
He doesn't have to be an old person. You're thinking like Welcome to Mooseport.
Yeah.
Gene Hackman. Right. Yeah. That makes sense.
Not like a 20-year-old Gene Hackman.
Yeah. I actually do think that's a pretty good one. All right. So he also made The Swarm, which is a critically reviled film, which this one wasn't, but probably should have been. Mm-hmm. But The Swarm, and the main character of The Swarm was played by Michael Caine. What about Michael?
Ooh.
What about Michael Caine? I would like to see him attempt an American accent. I'm not sure I've ever seen Michael Caine do an American accent. He's got a pretty deep British accent.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would. I really like Michael Caine, but
yeah, same here. I don't think he'd be good. No.
He would also be one that I would think would be Admiral Nelson, right? Michael Caine.
Yes.
Yeah.
It'd be funny if he were the captain.
All right. He was also the producer of Swiss Family Robinson. A star of that, Helen Hunt. What about Helen Hunt?
Why not?
Well, that one. Yeah, right? Can't be worse.
Just go for
right?
it. I don't
She's more of a Captain Lee type character.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He also did the Towering Inferno.
Okay.
Star of that, O.J. Simpson. What do we think?
Oh. Is this all right? Is this
our serial killer one? Oh, sorry. What?
Pre situation or post?
Let's say right at the same time, contemporary.
Oh, at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh.
As he's allegedly killing his wife, he's also starring in this film. I think he'd be a pretty good Admiral Nelson in that case.
He would be.
He'd be like, man, this guy's kind of crazy. And then the news would come out that he may have killed his wife.
This guy is crazy.
Oh, well, and I saw it. I just saw this movie, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. And I gotta say, I think he's guilty. You just show it in court, like, Your Honor, all the evidence is here. It's true, racism by cops, but he was in Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, and he was a crazy person, so guilty. And then he was also a producer of Lost in Space. And I won't use the original series because no one's in that I really know. Mm-hmm. But Matt LeBlanc was in the new one, and I've mentioned him a few times now. What about Matt LeBlanc?
Yeah, Captain Lee.
Captain.
Yeah.
Captain Lee. He's a good Captain Lee. Well, good, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But, yeah, at least I think if he had maybe the chimpanzee from Ed, I'd be more on board.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, like a baseball playing chimpanzee instead of a shark. And it's like Peter Lorre. It's like, here's our scientist. He's like a behavioral scientist. He's studying chimpanzees that play baseball, and then he's like just playing catch with a chimpanzee
in a submarine.
He's like, "Come on, Betsy."
It would have made sense for this movie.
Just as much sense.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, what about Ed Harris? What do we think?
Of course.
Ed Harris is the Admiral. Yes.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. Actually, maybe both characters. It's like a twin situation. Like. It's like, oh my god!
But one of them,
we're the same person.
One of them is Ed Harris with a mustache. The other one's without a mustache.
It's like all split screen. All right, and then just to finish it off, let's engage this Phantom. We'll take it to the Phantom Zone.
Oh,
and this is an easy one. It's not even really worth talking too much about it, since the reason even we knew about this film was because of the last time, one of the other times we took it to the Phantom Zone, because we used Peter Lorre from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea through this, and then Walter Pidgeon, who plays Admiral Nelson, was in the Neptune Zone. So, Phantom Zone, Neptune Zone. He was in that, and then from there we went all the way to.
So this is just an easy one.
Really, I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to write it down. I just remember.
recall.
Yeah, now I think I'm getting there where I could almost do it by memory. I've done it enough times that I can kind of find a way in for any movie at this point.
Ed Harris in everything that's worth watching.
I'll connect it to everything worth watching.
Yeah.
At the
Well, I
very
don't know about this, but if
They
I would
can't-
call
they-
this worth watching,
They can't all be winners.
yeah, they can't.
Yeah.
Alex, you got any good sub news?
Nothing too terribly crazy I found. If you recall a couple weeks ago, I was talking about how India flooded their own submarine.
I think this is the third time we've actually talked about India. It's because you talked about them flooding, and then you talked about China making fun of them.
Yes. So I did then talk about China making fun of them. Well, it seems that China may have now smeared themselves in the face with this because they had a nuclear attack submarine that's too easy to detect because Japan was able to find them and make them surface outside the waters of Japan.
We know Japan's a terrible submarine.
So I just thought that was a pretty interesting article. I mean, other than that, I guess there's some tension between Japan and China over who owns some islands, and that's where the Japanese Navy found this Chinese submarine. And
Really?
it's supposed to be pretty quiet, but according to this, Japan said that they were just too noisy, so they were able to find them.
I would love that report. Like, no, you suck. Like, that was way too loud.
Yeah.
It's like, well, maybe we should have stopped the guy playing the organ, the pipe organ. We'd be a little quieter.
Yeah.
But in terms of news, that was the only real good news article that I did find. Nothing too crazy going on this week in the world of subs.
I have to disagree because I think I sent this out to the group chat.
Oh, yeah.
Where we had over the weekend, it was reported that finally Bibi Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, is going to be questioned about what is known as the submarine affair. And it's the most serious of his corruption charges, has to do with kind of insider trading of sorts or whatever with dealings on some submarines. And he'll finally get questioned on it. So submarines were in the news for that. I kept on seeing headlines in some major like New York Times and stuff being like, finally Netanyahu being questioned over submarines. I was like, wait, what? wait, what is that? So that's pretty big news. I mean, I guess it'll be bigger news next week after he's questioned.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. It'll be amazing if like a prime minister of a major country in the world gets taken down over corruption charges of a submarine when we are doing a submarine podcast. Like we're just starting a submarine podcast. It'd be like if
Makes us look really relevant.
Yeah, it'd be like if Donald Trump right now was like, I need a Marine Force One submarine. That's what my new thing. We'd be like, what? How is this possible? This is crazy. What a coincidence.
Are we controlling the world with our minds?
Right, yeah. All of a sudden, everyone's obsessed with submarines. Like, if only there was a submarine podcast. And Kyle's like scrambling to get it out. Like, oh, Jesus, come on. If only there are people out there teaching us about submarines. Oh, wait. We are.
Craziness. Oh, let's see. I'll go into Jamie's favorite section
Great.
right now. If I can.
Is it about this class of submarine that was in Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea?
No.
Oh.
No. This is about
It's like a dog bowl class. Wait, what? Last one was a hotel class. Like,
yeah.
Wait, what?
So this one, I guess, has a little bit more of a technical name, but we've heard about these submarines a lot this past year. The Argentinian TR-1700 class. So,
but wasn't that a German submarine? Didn't they buy it from Germany?
It was made over in Germany.
Oh, I see.
But it's
commissioned, yeah.
Yeah, made for Argentina. There were 6 of them planned. 2 of them were going to be built over in Germany, and then the rest were going to be built in Argentina. I don't know why the hell that was going on, but anyways. So this is the same class that includes the ARA San Juan, which is the one that went missing November 17th of 2017. So these things are 220 feet, 10 inches long. They have 4 diesel engines in them with 4 generators and a Siemens electric motor. They have an endurance of 30 days, and they can do like a long extended trip for 70 days. So I don't know what that means, like if you just like really cut food supply or what. But they can also dive to 980 feet.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Not bad.
No. Their speed, they can go, while they're surfaced, 15 knots, which 17 miles an hour for those who don't know nautical, and submerged 25 knots or 29 miles an hour.
Also not bad.
No, that's pretty good for moving along. Weapons, they've got 6 torpedo tubes, and these tubes are actually kind of cool. They have an automatic reloader, which can reload the tubes in 50 seconds with another torpedo.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
People aren't getting crushed in that process.
No.
Which we've seen a couple times.
I know, it's always like manual. They got like chain hoists, and they throw it in. But no, I'm like, that's pretty cool.
So it's like a machine gun, but like a submarine.
Yeah.
A giant machine gun.
Yes.
Wow.
It's pretty freaking awesome. And it can hold...
Wait. Patent pending. Sorry.
Yeah. Can hold 22 torpedoes. Like I said, there's 6 of these planned to be built. They've only actually completed 2 of them. There's some kind of like economic crash that I guess prevented the rest of them from being built. So they have one that it's at 70% complete, and they've talked about finishing it. But mind you, the first one of these was built in 1984, and then the second one, which is the one that went missing, was in 85. So these are older. But they still have that one at 70%. But that's it.
This does remind me, too, to apologize to our listeners who've been waiting for our interview with the Defense Secretary of Argentina. I swear next week, for sure. I've been in contact. He's definitely in for next week.
Great.
Yep.
We're just having trouble with the visa to get him over here.
Yeah. Doesn't...
He's already stuck in traffic. So.
He's in Panama at this point. He's been stuck in traffic since Argentina, but, his Google Maps says it should only be 45 more days of driving.
Oh, my word. Let's see. Brom, you got anything for us this week?
I do, actually. I've got an update for all of our listeners at home. So, Ross, if you've got your score... If you've got your scorecard handy from our sub-film 6 Degrees of System of a Down, Frankie Avalon, who plays Lieutenant Danny Romano in Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, was actually featured in System of a Down's hit song Old School Hollywood, so only 1 degree of separation this week.
So maybe I was wrong. Maybe it is Golden Age of Hollywood. And I'm wrong. I have to look this up.
It's at least Old School Hollywood. Maybe that's the age that came.
Must have been. We're right on the border between Golden Age and Old School Hollywood.
Because I think they mention Jack Gilardi and Tony Danza. So Tony Danza definitely not Golden Age.
No, not Golden Age Hollywood. But he's Golden Age in my heart.
Love you, Tony.
He listens to the podcast. Don't worry about it. I know.
He's on the week after the Argentinian defense minister.
Right. Well, he's been really trying to get on the podcast. I'm like, slow your roll, Tony.
Yeah. Come on. We got a really big guest coming.
We'll fit you in.
We'll call you when we need you.
I wonder if he's been in a submarine movie. Oh, wait. Sorry. Answer's no, probably not.
A direct-to-TV submarine movie on the
with
Hallmark
a
Channel,
field goal kicking
maybe.
mule or something. Sorry, he was the trash.
Oh, the garbage.
He was a garbage man.
Field goal kicking. Philadelphia phenomenon.
Yeah, I was mixing up my my weird Disney Channel field goal kicking movies.
Let's see, and then
here it is. Is it?
Alex received some questions from a listener.
And that's crazy because we haven't even released these episodes.
It's also an exciting week because this is the week that everything drops.
It is funny because I have been linking my brother to listening, so technically we do have one listener. He's listened to all the episodes.
There we go.
All right.
Yeah. He doesn't have any questions, though. Sorry.
I did receive this email, though, and it says, Dear Submersion, I am Reddit user Tom Cruise in USA. Love the show. And your guys' analysis. He says, sub movies were a niche that I didn't think had any popularity. Thank goodness that I found Submersion. Anywho, he was listening, and he knew that we just finished watching K-19 last week. And he definitely thinks it was one. Yep, K-19, The Widowmaker, thank you. And he definitely thinks it's one of the more famous sub-movies that are out there. But he did have some question for us, so I'll go through them real quick, and then we can go through and answer them. One, as we had kind of hinted on before, I don't think he really liked the accents as well. Because the question says, whose accent do you think needs the most work? According to this guy, he thinks it's the guy at the very beginning opening sequence where the guy says, "Number 1, missile fueled, the table elevated." Sounds like a cowboy. So, and then the next question is, do you think a 2-man mutiny was very realistic? And 3... who was the greater hero, Harrison Ford or Peter Sarsgaard? He says he'd pick Sarsgaard since the sacrifice was actually followed through. Harrison Ford only offered to say "fuck Moscow," but it never actually happened. Anyways, he wants to hear our thoughts, and he wishes us good luck for everything else that's coming in the future. So,
Man, thank you, Tom Cruise in USA.
All right. In terms of the first one, like worst accent, the only thing I do remember about the accents is I was really keen on hearing them. So the very first sequence, they're doing that test, and I just remember the accents getting worse as the missile sequence kept on going. So if he's talking about the last person in that sequence, then I 100% agree. Because by the time I got to the last person, I was like, oh, now this person's not trying. I thought maybe they were doing a thing where they started with someone who sounded Russian and then slowly worked their way up to American to be like, yeah, we're not trying. We just wanted to tell you we could have. We decided not to. Anyone else? Who else?
Oh, man.
Was there anyone else you thought was particularly poor?
Did the drunk guy even talk in that movie?
I don't
think
I don't think he did.
Yeah, he may have mumbled a little bit.
It's got to be missile sequence.
Yeah.
That guy, his was pretty bad.
The oranges also didn't look super Russian when I saw them.
No.
Normally you'd think they would be falling out of the thing they were carrying them and tumbling down, but they just stayed in their basket. Phantom Zone.
How about you guys? Who do you guys think had the worst accent?
I didn't like Harrison Ford's.
I don't think he liked it either.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
I thought Peter Sarsgaard's could have been a little bit better, but whatever.
He's someone you would have expected it to be better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You would have thought, considering how major of an actor he ended up being, you would have thought his accent work would have been a little better. Maybe he looked around and was like, well, no one else is trying.
Although, I mean, I'm still impressed that they actually did like put some effort into it, unlike Phantom, where there was just zero effort at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had Duchovny. He just sounded like Duchovny. So what was
I
the
love how we've taken these questions and we're just like, no, let's just talk about Phantom, please.
What's the second question?
Second one, do you think 2-man mutiny was very realistic?
Technically, it was a 3-man mutiny, or at least they thought it was a 3-man mutiny. It included the potential captain. And I think that would have been very realistic if the captain had been on board, or the XO had been on board.
Liam Neeson,
Yeah.
Nobody really seemed to give a shit when they did it.
The thing I will say is certainly a mutiny engineered by the political officer is a terrible idea because everyone hates the political officer.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, like, that's not going to work. Get out of here.
This made it look very like it was possible because people didn't care about Harrison Ford. They only wanted Liam Neeson as captain.
Yeah.
So nobody was like, oh, hey, stop. There wasn't any inkling of that. It's just, all right, whatever. Just sit at our post here and
it's not like
continue
Rob
on.
Schneider in Down Periscope where he's like, mutiny, and everyone's like, okay, sit down. It's not happening.
So I guess, for this situation, it is possible, I would think.
It would be realistic. Yeah.
If they would have had Liam Neeson's character on board, or if he just would have gone with it, I think it definitely would have happened.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, third question. What was it?
Who was the greater hero, Harrison Ford or Peter Sarsgaard?
For me, this is easy. It's Peter Sarsgaard.
I think so too.
First of all, his reaction to a bunch of people stumbling out of a reactor charred to a crisp and then being like, I'm not going in there, really made me identify with him because I would have done the same thing. And so I was like, he's a normal person. And then he went in and was still a hero. I'm like, whoa, he was like a normal person and he still was a hero. Whereas Harrison Ford, his heroism came only at the end. He really wasn't a hero before that. He would mostly seem to be operating as like trying to make up for something of what his father did or what perceived to be what his father did.
Right.
And then in the end, he was like, his real heroism was like, we're not staying on this sub. We're going on to the other sub, even though Moscow had told him
Yeah.
that he has to stay on the sub. Because that's how, I mean, in the end, that's how everyone on the sub was able to survive. They would have died, all of them.
I also would agree. I think it's Sarsgaard. Although I really hated him when he backed out. It was reminiscent of that weak character in Saving Private Ryan that like lets the guy get stabbed in the room up top.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
oh
sure,
my
sure.
God, I hate you. And then
Again, understandable. Probably that'd be me in that situation. There we go. I'd be like, oh shit.
but then when I guess, he went in and fixed the pipe, all that type of stuff, he saved the lives of everybody there. I think he went blind, right?
Who?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yes, yeah. And
Sarsgaard.
he died.
Well, everybody dies.
Within 5 days.
I think they said like 25% of the crew died or something.
Oh,
But,
jeez.
It said everybody that went into the reactor room died within 5 days.
and then a bunch of them got cancer after. But that a bunch of the people did survive, and those are the people that Harrison Ford had saved.
Okay. Huh. How about you, Zach? Who you think?
I Starsguard. Why not?
There you go.
Good enough. Good explanation.
Zach, what was the question? Whatever.
I've just heard this name a couple times.
You've been saying some things, so. All right. Is it the time? Is it time?
I think it's time. Zach, take it away.
Oh boy! Welcome back to another session of Zach Vax. These, you'd think the movie would make it easy, but it didn't. But here's some Zach Facts for you. Number 1, Frankie Avalon spent 4 years writing the opening theme song. Fact.
Oh, when it's that solid, I mean,
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah,
you got to take your time.
I made it my ringtone.
Perfect.
I was hoping it would play on this episode, but I'm not sure legally we could do that.
It's been long enough, right? You could do it.
Who knows?
Next fact, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea is known as being the most realistic depiction of submarine life ever created. Fact.
Doesn't every sub have a place to go walk a shark and have giant vaulted ceilings?
Didn't one of you actually cover that? Wasn't it like Down Periscope or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Down Periscope's the most realistic, yeah.
All right, moving on. Zach fact number 3. This is Michael Bay's favorite film, and he wants to remake it.
I hope not.
That would be amazing. I would love the sequence in the middle where the submarine becomes a transformer.
Right?
That'd be pretty cool.
Could you imagine the explosions?
I think he was sold on the idea of launching nuclear warhead at a nuclear belt. He's like, this is what I'm here for. This is my purpose on Earth.
The last Transformer film is a submarine film. There's like a whole third of the film that takes place underwater in a submarine.
Yes.
Oh, man, I hope we don't do that movie.
I really don't want to rewatch. I already seen it. It is horrible. So I would not want to watch that. There's only two things more reliable right now in terms of bad movies, or one thing more reliable. It is 50 Shades series. But like if a Transformer film comes out or a 50 Shades film comes out, there is literally a 0% chance it gets good reviews. It's impossible. It's not possible.
I mean, I haven't seen any of the 50 Shades movies.
They're awful. Please do not.
I like Transformers when it started, but then it just really got off the rails.
Yeah.
Moving on. All the actors had all their rooms set to 135 degrees to better prepare for this movie.
Method acting.
Right? At its finest.
They did have some pretty good sweats going.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Next fact. The movie went through 25 total dogs while filming. I loved watching the guy just keep petting that dog.
It had no purpose.
I actually forgot there was a dog until you mentioned it. I was like, oh yeah, he was holding a dog most of the time, wasn't he?
Right? He just kept petting it. Ugh.
That's how I'd be on a sub. Take my little dog.
Take the dog, pet it. Yeah.
How did that dog even make it that far? It lived out in the ice for who knows how long he was out there, and then they just found him barely alive, sitting in 140-degree weather for 2 days straight. I don't get it.
Yeah, what was that dog eating?
And that dog was fine. All right.
It makes you almost think that his whole thing into God may have had some merit. So
Right.
if you went through that experience and you and your dog are the only survivors, you're like, oh shit, God may be real.
All right, a couple more. A sequel was considered. It was going to have the title Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea 2. The Red Dread Returns.
Red Dread.
I do not get that joke. Zach fact.
Zach fact. Another fact. The giant squid fight with the scuba divers was not in the script. The actors almost died.
So that's a real squid.
Yeah, because it's crazy how that real squid looked so terrible.
Right. And that's Zach facts. There you go.
Awesome.
I do love Zach facts because of how real they are.
Yes.
It's actually, how real they are is my favorite thing about them.
Dude, that squid, it looks so bad.
I had to pause the movie and just look at it because I was like, what? What am I looking at?
It was like if you took like a box, painted it like squid color, put a googly eye on it, and had some whips coming out. I mean,
exactly
shit, I could
it.
go make that in my garage right now.
Probably could. I dare you. I dare you to do it.
All right. My neighbors will be like, what are you working on over there? It's a pretty big squid
Yes.
project.
6 weeks later, you're like, I did it. It only took me 500 man-hours of work.
Hear about me in the local news. Man,
Wow.
that's Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
That movie sucked. I'm sorry, guys. I feel like since I used it in a Phantom Zone, and that's how it got on our radar, it's my fault that we're watching this.
You are to blame.
If only we had watched something better.
Hashtag blame JB.
Thanks for listening to Submersion. Find us on SoundCloud and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.